There's little more frustrating than teaching a dog owner how to do something and then watching them completely undo it over the coming days. For years when this used to happen, it used to drive me crazy. Till one day I was at a party and it made me think of something. As I was sat there blowing up balloons, I started thinking, and I realised that a balloon makes a really good metaphor for dog training problems. As a dog trainer, when somebody comes to us with a training problem, regardless of what size it starts off at, we go to work as a dog trainer to decrease the size of that problem. And over time, if we do our job properly, the behaviour falls and it doesn't exist any longer. But unfortunately, most of the work that we do with dogs also involves the owner, which means that we end up with an even bigger problem. Because the owner comes to us for the training session and we reduce the size of the problem for them. But the problem is, we don't get a chance to get rid of it entirely. So the dog and the owner finish their training session and they go home. And when they're at home, they take their eyes off the ball and the problem comes back. And they turn up the next week for training and again, we dutifully start to work on getting rid of the problem. But the problem is, unless we can get rid of it completely so that it's gone, it will always keep coming back. And it was whilst I was sat blowing up balloons that I had this thought about how this works, that I came up with the idea of what I called skill fade. Because as a dog trainer, not only do we get rid of the problem until it doesn't exist anymore, but we also then keep an eye on it to make sure that if it starts to come back, we keep it under wraps. But there's a fundamental difference between me and you and a dog owner. And that is that what we look for and determine to be a problem is often much less than what the owner sees as a problem. So for example, we might stop a dog from stealing food when it's all 4 feet on the ground and it's just thinking about the food on the kitchen worktop. Whereas an owner will tend not to react until the dog's paws are on the work surface. And that causes us another problem because our timing is really good because we're catching it before it happens, but their timing is off. So the dog doesn't really understand that it was thinking about the stealing the food that was causing the problem. And so there's two things I want to share with you today, which if you start doing and implementing into your training, will dramatically increase your client's results and make your life much easier. The first is to have a really good think about what it is that you're looking for when you're handling a dog, which makes you take certain action. So for example, what are the specific things that you look for dogs doing before you give them a reward or a correction? Because if you can teach the owners exactly what it is that you're spotting, then you'll make their timing as good as yours almost overnight. And then the second thing that I want you to do is acknowledge and put in place something to deal with skill fade for your clients. Our job as dog trainers is obviously about training dogs, but the better that we are at training the humans and the better we understand them, the better the results we will get for our owners and their dogs. And ultimately, the better our business will be and the better our lives will be. We should always be looking to bridge the gap between us and your average dog owner. What is it that we do that's different to what they do, which means that we get the results and they don't? And once we've worked that out, what can we do to bridge that gap?